Hello, welcome to Bonktable. I'm Mass, and I'm doing another solo cast, and I'm going to be talking about the shooting options and magic options in 100k. So I decided to do them together because 100k shooting is pretty repetitive. I'm going to talk about every regiment and what I think about it and how it kind of works and functions in the army. Some of the things you can do with it, of course. Magic's a little bit more interesting just because the chapter mage has all her different spell schools, but she has some issues. Theist Priest is probably our best caster. Actually, he is the best caster. His one issue is that his warband selection is not that great. So there's a couple of issues with the shooting and magic, and it doesn't necessarily tie into shooting and magic itself. It more really ties into the things around it. So with that, let's get into it. The thing I'm going to start off first is probably the best option for 100k for shooting. It's the Mercenary Crossbowman. This is a regiment that is 105 points, so it's very cheap. It's March 5, Volley 2, Clash 1, 4 attacks, 4 wounds, Resolve 2, Defense 1, 0 evasion. It's Barrage 3 on range 18, Armor Piercing 1 with a leader. It's 35 points for an additional stand, and you can buy a banner for 5 points. The things I really like about the Merc Crossbowman is that you get 10 shots at 18 inches away at Armor Pierce 1. Armor Pierce 1 is super good. I would actually value it higher than Cleave 1 because you can hit people from further away. And that usually means, if they live, they still gotta run at you. And especially if it's 18 inches away, really no one's coming from that far to actually get to you. Maybe some mounted squires or some Strix can do it. But you're mostly fine from a lot of retaliation. Another great thing I like about this is that it's a mainstay. It's a great unlock for all your restricted options at 105 points. One of the more cheaper things in the faction that actually does work. This is probably your best points per output shooting regiment in 100k. Anything else lower than this doesn't shoot very well, where you're well, I'll just pay the extra points to make it shoot better. Anything above this, as you're going to find out, basically has the same amount of output, so there's no point. Merc Crossbowman, if I had to put this on a tier list for shooting, this is your S tier. More in the way of just grab more Merc Crossbows. There's this really weird thing with Merc Crossbows that one regiment of them isn't that threatening. 2 regiments, also not threatening. Once you get into that 4 range or higher, because you can take 8 of the same regiment in your army building, you hit a critical mask of it's too many shots. You're just outloading so much. As well as because they're cheap and you can get a bunch of cards for your deck, you can out-activate your opponents and just be oh, I draw another Merc crossbow. Oh, I move up and just kind of shoot you with my volley too. Oh, you're in range. I'm going to take aim and shoot at you. They're really good at that. I value them because they're great speed bumps if you want to just put them in the way and just protect yourself from somebody. They're great pinners because this is 105 points. You're getting 10 shots at max range at Armor Piercing 1 with Volley 2. I'll be really honest, I'm usually hitting 4 or 3 of these if I'm lucky. Even with take aim, I'm usually hitting 4 or 3 of these. I think it's just I roll bad, but you can pin with them, you can speed bump with them, you can block with them. They're good just to be there, to just get in the way, be what you need them to be. They fill a wide variety of roles, surprisingly, more than just be your premium shooting option. I don't consider these guys the premium shooters of 100k. That's another regiment we'll get to. But this is your most points efficient shooting option, I believe, in the faction. I've done games where I've ran 8 of these guys and just unloaded bolts into people. I've ran games where I've run 2 of these guys and wanted a couple more. 3 to 4 is kind of the sweet spot if you really want to get more crossbow output, because Merc crossbows can kind of do 1 MSU regiment can kind of kill a stand per turn. So if you have 3 of them running around, you can kill an MSU with the 3. And that's like rough numbers there. You know, some stuff you're going to do more work into, some stuff you're going to do less work into. But kind of on average, you're going to take about a stand. 4 wounds is usually what you're taking per activation when you shoot with these guys. So if you have 3 of them, you can kill a regiment. I like to run 4 because Merc crossbows are not resilient at all. They're defense 1, so any armor pierce coming back at them is just an insta-death. They're resolve 2, so if anyone gets into melee with them, they're insta-dead. Their melee stats at Clash 1 and 4 attacks is kind of funny because you can run them up and like get into the side of something and then just like inspire Clash for 2s and just roll like 13 attacks and be like, ah, and you'll get like a couple. It's kind of funny and people will be like, what the hell? How are they killing stuff? I don't know either. Don't ask me on that one. But I would never expect their melee to really do anything. It's more there just to be annoying. But with 4 regiments of Merc crossbows, you have 1 regiment that can die and still have your other 3 regiments that are safe to do work. Merc crossbows don't do very well in a shooting trade. They do well in a shooting trade if you have more shooting options into the thing that's shooting you. So, Bow Chosen, I think they're like 210 points. They got their 15 shots from an MSU with like 1s doing smites. Bow Chosen on average will just like destroy an entire Merc crossbow regiment, like an activation at a time. You will not be able to kill Bow Chosen because they're like defense 2, going down to 1, but they have 5 wounds, so they'll just absorb it. You can kind of whittle them down eventually though if you have enough Merc crossbows, but you're kind of looking for 3 to 4 regiments, and you need to make sure all those shots go into that Bow Chosen. You can't just like spread it out. You know how like you'll see artwork from 40K or like from big space battles like Starship Trooper. I don't want to say space battles, but there's the fort scene in Starship Trooper where they're like shooting all their guns from the turret, from the battlements, and there's like the big bugs show up and they all like turn their guns towards it, and everyone's just like doo, doo, doo. Everyone's like concentrated fire. You really got to concentrate fire with Merc crossbows. Don't really spread them out, but they fulfill a ton of roles. So that's why I consider them the best range unit in 100K. Just because they do so much for you at such a cheap price of 105 points. Our next range unit, let's talk about the Militia Bowman. These guys are great. Militia Bowman are 75 points, March 5, Volley 1, Clash 1, 3 attacks, 4 wounds, Resolve 2, Defense 1. They are Barrage 3, Range 16. You can make these guys veterans. They have a stand bearer, and they have like a Servite, a Neophyte, Errant of the Order of the Shield. Errant of the Order Shield, he gives you something. Gives +2 attack, characteristic. No, it's on characters. What is it? Servite? Yeah, Servite. +1 March and Resolve. So you could grab a Servite. It's 15 extra points, so that takes you to 100, doubled for 115. Become Volley 2, March 6. At 115, you might as well just go another 5 points for Imperial Ranger Corps and just become Volley 3. Like, there's no reason to veteran these guys ever, because it's either go grab Merc crossbows or grab Imperial Ranger Corps. The thing that's going on with the Militia Bowman, you're not winning any shooting contests here. You're dead last in shooting output. You're Volley 1. Like, even taking aim to 2 is bad. These guys are your cheapest mainstay buyers. That's really what they're there for. If you want to cut some fat off your list and you need a couple extra points freed up, change all your Merc crossbows to Militia Bowman. It frees up, 30 points? Yeah, about 30 points per regiment. These guys then turn from an effective shooting regiment into an effective just speed bump pinning chaff regiment there to like fill out your deck's activations, get in the way and be annoying. I don't really like Militia Bowman that much because I want to shoot. I have played them and I just run them forward to die basically to just get in the way. They're really good at that. And that's really what you should be using for. So getting in the way and dying, speed bumping, pinning stuff, just being annoying. Using them as chaff to out-activate your opponent is another good one. They can shoot, and there have been times where I have shot with them. I have taken aim and shot their 10 shots into an objective, dealt the 1 wound, and dropped it by 1. Like, it does happen. It's just really, really tough. Take aim to volley 2 is not very good. Move and shooting at volley 1 is just terrible. And this used to be better when you could give blessed to range attacks. You now no longer can. So Militia Bowman stock has dropped off even more significantly. That's really it about them. There's not a huge amount. I would say if you got the points, just upgrade them to Merc crossbows, and if you need to free up some points, drop your Merc crossbows to Militia Bowman. That's really it. So, next one we're going to talk about. Imperial Ranger Corps. These guys are kind of fun. These guys are 120 points. March 6, Volley 3. That's a big one, Volley 3. Clash 1, 4 attacks, 4 wounds, Resolve 2, Defense 1, and Evasion 1. So this is one of the 3 things in 100k that has Evasion. However, it's only Evasion 1. Their special rules are Barrage 3, Range 16, Fluid Formation, and Vanguard. You can also buy a banner for 5 points. I like Imperial Ranger Corps. Imperial Ranger Corps sit in this weird spot, however. Some of the things that are going for it, though, is that it's March 6. You could Fluid Formation, so you could do, like spins, you can get to weird spots, you can reform the regiment. You get around a lot of things. You can also shoot out of all your arcs, what's really nice. They have Vanguard. The funny thing about the Vanguard, though, is that the Imperial Officer Supremacy is Vanguard, and you have to take Imperial Ranger Corps with the Imperial Officer. They're a mainstay slot for the Imperial Officer. And he gives 2 regiments Vanguard, used to be everything. So this Vanguard on the Imperial Ranger Corps has gone up, because if let's say you're putting a unit, your Imperial Officer is putting Vanguard on some Household Guard and some Gilded Legion, or your Imperial Ranger Corps can just Vanguard up the table fine with their own Vanguard. So before it was kind of weird and no one knew why it had it. Now it makes more sense. It's been adjusted. It's useful. The big things I do like about them is that their mobility and their volley 3. So because they're volley 3, it's very easy for them to just march and shoot wherever they want to go. You don't necessarily have to take aim to be effective at shooting. They're still restrained by Barrage 3, and this is just a thing you're going to see throughout the rest of the shooting regiments is Barrage 3. Range 16 kind of sucks, but they're also March 6, and they have Fluid, so they're going wherever they need to go. They can usually get to their target and just shoot them. And they have that higher base volley. Like, it does matter. Merc crossbows being volley 2 when they march and shoot, just it does kind of suck. They are kind of your best shooting option, but they do have weaknesses. The Imperial Ranger Corps say, hey, we're going to drop AP 1, you're just going to be volley 3, a little less range, and you can just fluid reform all over the place. Imperial Ranger Corps are actually pretty good at covering flanks and doubling up on a side to be annoying at something, to like just kind of like plug away. Because with fluid formation, you can spin yourself 180, shoot out your butt, march away, and just kite your opponent. We'll have to get into the scoot and shoot as well. But they can just do that naturally, and it's super annoying if you have 2 regiments like this, just like getting chased by another guy and slowly get picked off. They are 120 points. Merc crossbows 105. So there are pluses and downs. I do like these guys. I still lean towards Merc crossbows, because once you lose that AP 1, you will feel it. And I have played games where I've had like 3 units of Merc crossbows, a unit or 2 of Imperial Ranger Corps, and I'm like, man, it would have killed this regiment off if I had AP 1. It's like, great. So yeah, stuff happens. So let's go into our premium shooter, the Hunter Cadre. They are 160 points, March 6, Volley 2, Clash 3, at 4 attacks, 4 wounds, Resolve 3, Defense 1, Evasion 2. They have Cleave 1, they're Fearless. They have Fiend Hunter for rerolls on brutes and monsters. They're Barrage 3, Range 18, AP 1. You can make these guys veterans. You can take a banner for 5 points, and you can take a Null Mage for 15, which doubles to 30. A Null Mage, I'm just going to read this out. When an enemy spellcaster attempts to cast a spell within 10 of this regiment's command stand, any of the spellcasting dice rolled that are not a success inflict 1 wound on the spellcaster. These wounds cannot be mitigated or saved in any way, and do not trigger morale tests. So, you grab the command stand and the officer, you veterans them, you put them to volley 3. You now have for, 30, 190, 195, Merc crossbows that can shoot. It's really what it is, because now they're volley 3. They got the Fiend Hunter, so any monsters are going to get screwed over. I've killed, the Minotaurs from City States with them. It's really fun re-rolling all your attacks at, volley 3, aiming to 4. It helps a lot. I guess we'll get into the scoot and shoot. The Imperial officer has 2 battlefield drills. He has fire first, aim later, and on your feet. On your feet is double time. Fire force and aim later is fire in advance. So, fire in advance says once you shoot on your second action, you can move. And on your feet says if you made 2 moves, you can move again. So what you do is you move, shoot, that triggers fire in advance, so you move again. Oh, that's triggered 2 of your marches. You can now march a 3rd time, so then you can move again. The Imperial officer allows your regiment to use 2 draw events. So you throw him in a unit of Hunter Cadre, and you're like, I'm going to use both my draw events. So you move, shoot, move, and you can move up, shoot, and this double move backwards to just be out of range again. There's a ton of stuff you can do. You can keep pushing the advance. You can start wheeling around. You can side shuffle places. You get to have a lot of fun with that. I value it on the Hunter Cadre with the move and shoot because they get up to that volley 3 with the veterans. They got a good range as well as armor pierce as well as Fiend Hunter. They just have a stack of special rules. The other thing that's really great about the Hunter Cadre is that they are Clash 3 base with 4 attacks, with Cleave 1 and Fiend Hunter. So if anyone's coming into you and finally gets into combat with you, you're not straight up screwed because your defense 1 like all the other ranged shooting regiments. You are evasion 2, so you're actually going to live a little longer than a lot of other people if they have Cleave or Smite or whatever. This allows you to also just charge in there and shank somebody with your Clash 3 inspiring to 4 and each of your 4 attacks. So once someone gets within charge range of you, you can just shank them and kill them. Well, it's really great. So Hunter Cadre fulfill this dual role, what I really like, of being really effective at shooting if you build that way through veterans, but also being very effective at melee. And I know some people have used veterans to go to Clash 4 to reroll 6s. Myself personally, I'm not a fan of it. I want the more effective shooting because that'll just annoy my opponent more to come closer. Clash 3 Inspire to 4 is good enough, especially with Fiend Hunter. I'll do enough work to kill something. I want to make sure my shooting is good, and this is your premium shooting regiment is kind of what I've found from 100k. However, it is a ton of points. It ends up being about 195. What's way more than anything else we've talked about. The next closest thing was 120 at Imperial Ranger Corps. We're eventually going to get to Longbows, it's 135, so you can already see this shooting way up in points. However, they serve a dual role. Also, don't think that these guys can tank the world because they're evasion 2. They will survive some stuff just through good rolls. Other times, you're just going to roll bad and they're just going to get wiped out. I like to run 4 stands of them with the character. Sometimes I don't run the character in them. But I like to run 4 stands. It's usually kind of the sweet spot of getting your most out of your shooting. However, it does bump them to, 245? What's a lot of points? So there's that. You just gotta be careful there and kind of what you want. I do like Hunter Cadre a lot. It's just that they are very expensive for what they're doing because they cover a wide variety of roles and output in 100k for a regiment. All right, let's get into our last shooting regiment. What is the Longbows? Longbows are a restricted option for the Noble Lords Warband and the Mounted Noble Lords Warband. These guys are 135 points. March 6, Volley 2, Clash 1, 4 attacks, 4 wounds, Resolve 2, Defense 1, 0 evasion. They are Cleave 1, Barrage 3, Range 24, Arcing Fire, Armor Piercing 1. They have a leader. And you can bid a banner for 5 points, and it's 40 points for another stand. So what are Longbows doing? Longbows are sitting at the back end of your table, shooting 24 inches, Barrage 3, AP 1, at Volley 2. Hopefully you're taking aim to Volley 3, over everything else into your opponent. Okay, So, Arcing Fire, let's read this out. Until the end of the regiment's activation, if this regiment has the aim shot special rule and is not currently occupying a piece of garrison terrain, instead of performing a volley action as normal, it may perform the following. The regiment suffers -1 to its volley characteristic until the end of the regiment's activation. Then the regiment may select an enemy regiment in its front arc within the barrage range of at least one of its stands and with line of sight of a friendly regiment performing the volley action against it if the volley was a clear shot. Only stands in the regiment with the special rule may participate in the volley action. If all stands in the target regiment are within a piece of obscuring terrain, then the volley special rule is halved as normal. If the target regiment does not have all its stand within a piece of obscuring terrain, there are no penalties. So what is this really giving you? It's letting you shoot over your friends and just train and stuff and enemy models to hit somebody. So you basically forgo the take aim bonus. So instead of being volley 3, you'll just still be your volley 2. You'll shoot over everybody and you'll hit them. Longbows, my main issue with them is that they're a restricted slot. So you gotta take a mainstay for them. And they have the exact same output as Merc crossbows. And a lot of the times I say these are Merc crossbows that last until the end of the game. Because they're Barrage 3, and they have Armor Pierce 1, and they're Volley 2. The 24-inch range is, just the longbow range, but their output hasn't changed. They're still Barrage 3, Armor Pierce 1, Volley 2. And if you're using Arcing Fire a lot, you're going to be Volley 2 for a lot of these shots. So the way to kind of offset this is to take 4 to 5 stands of longbows. So you're buying additional stands, it's not bad. You're dropping them off at the back end of your table. They're shooting over everybody. So you're getting about 16 shots. What's not bad at all. It's just like these are just the same output as Merc crossbows. Like, I don't value this as a restricted option. Longbows could be better because this is supposed to be some of the best archers in 100k. They're really just Merc crossbows who have a farther range. That's really it. It's hard to justify the restricted slot from the Noble Lord's Warband because he's looking for Household Knights. If it's the foot one, he's looking for Mounted Squire. Was it the mounted one? Let me just have a quick look at here. Yeah, he's looking for Household Knights. He's not taking longbows. So longbows is kind of really tough. They don't output anywhere different than basically anything else that you've been using. If you haven't noticed by now, everything in the faction is Barrage 3. Everything in the faction except for Imperial Ranger Corps is Volley 2. Hunter Cadre get away with it because they can finally be veterans for an extreme amount of points to be Volley 3. But I find 100k's shooting regiments to be very restrictive because it's, do you want Merc crossbows? Do you want chaff Militia Bowman, just get in the way and fill out your mainstay slot? Do you want funny Imperial Ranger Corps while you could just save the points for Merc crossbows anyway? Hunter Cadre are way too expensive for what they're trying to do because they're trying to cover a lot. I've seen them work really well. It's just they are a lot of points for what they're doing. They are covering the melee and shooting roles of light output, and they get to points very fast. They stack up very fast. And longbows are just Merc crossbows that last the entire game because if at the end of the game if you won, the longbows are still alive. If you've hit the end of the game and you've lost, chances are the longbows have been killed along the way. So they last the entire game, win or lose, just because they're so far back from everything. It's pretty rare that someone kills them in the middle of the game. That's kind of my issue with 100k shooting, is that it just really all comes back to the Merc crossbow being the most efficient shooting option for points, while everything else just kind of slides along that scale of Volley 2, Barrage 3. Militia Bowman, your Volley 1, Barrage 3, Range 16. Yeah, I don't care. I'll pay the extra points for something a little better. Imperial Ranger Corps, you are 15 points more for Volley 3, but you lose out on AP 1. I can save the points, get the AP, still be range 18, and just take aim and just run a bunch. We'll be fine. Hunter Cadre, you're You're trying to be the jack of all trade in the jack of all trade faction. What's fine. I really like what you're doing there. It's just you are too expensive. You're also restricted slot, what's really tough, because the Imperial Officer has some of the best restricted options in the entire faction with the Gilded Legion and the Steel Legion. So you being the third restricted slot is really tough for you to get picked over the other two. Longbows, you're just Merc crossbows at last. Like, you need to be different from everyone else. People are like, oh, they have cleave. Guys, it's just a lore thing. Ignore the cleave. Like, they're Clash 1, who cares? What you're looking at is really the barrage, the volley, and the armor pierce. I would like longbows to be changed so that they are more fitting of their role as just raining arrows of death on people. Like, if you really want to watch a good movie that shows off this, there's the movie King on Netflix. I think Timothy Charlemagne on there. He's the King of England, and they do the Battle of Agincourt, where he just longbows to death the French. It's pretty great. So yeah, you guys need something. I believe these guys used to be like 150 points, but they also used to be volley 3. I think there's a previous edition, but I don't know, like 135, you're just not worth it. Like Merc crossbows. It's so weird. Everything just goes back to Merc crossbows. All right, let's go talk about upgrades for shooting. So, some of the heirlooms, relics, masteries, all that stuff. So for heirlooms, we have... Let's go to the one that affects the unit first. I believe it is... Where are you? Eye of Icalis. This is a 35-point upgrade. It's a character draw event. Target friendly regiment within 8 inches of the character stand and rerolls failed hit rolls of 6 when performing a volley action until the end of turn. Pretty good. However, it is pretty pricey at 35 points. You're usually not grabbing a ton of upgrades, so if you have 35 points left over, you can grab another stand of Merc crossbows. That fucking Merc crossbows every time. So yeah, like, do you make a regiment reroll 6s, or do you grab another stand of Merc crossbows? How much is longbows? Longbows are 40 points. So like that's a really tough choice there. What do you think is better? This works better on regiments that are like 5 stands. So if you have 5 stands of longbows, like I've done 2x5 longbows, it is pretty fun. The problem started happening where I was using arcing fire too much because I couldn't see anything, and I was missing because I was volley 2 the entire time, and that really sucks. You really want to be volley 3 when you're shooting, like get the take aim bonus. So there is a reason to take it there. Air Mage is another one. We can talk about that. Let me go School of Air. These are range. She has range self and range 10. So you kind of want to make her the Warlord, where you use Seeking Winds. Target regiment adds +1 to their barrage special roll into end of round, because you never want to put this, like, you kind of want to put this on longbows, and then guide. Target regiment rerolls failed hit rolls of 6 during a volley action until end of round. So like, there you go. You can take a chapter mage, put her in air, and just have her sit with the unit of Merc crossbows and just cast guide on people, because it's the same thing as the draw event, as the Eye of Icarus. Like, I don't know, if you're really going hard on like a shooting build, I would say you take Noble Lord, a bunch of melee stuff, you get into like some big bricks, you take 2 X5 longbows, you take 2 chapter mages of air, make 1 the Warlord, you are casting guide out of both, and then you're having 1 cast Seeking Winds on another, so like the barrage all goes to 4 on the longbows. They're re-rolling 6s each. Well, you could do 1, because then you could character into like hit up both. So you use the eye on one of the 2 longbows, use Seeking and then guidance on the other. Yeah, and then you have a third or a second mage that does. Nope, I dropped it by accident. Yeah, and then you have a second mage that's the Warlord that's Seeking Wind stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of work, and you're kind of losing tempo, and it's like, this is way too much to try and get this to work. It's really counteractive. Before you could escort the mage into like longbows and stuff and work out. Now, not so much. She kind of has to sit in another regiment beside them, and she has better things to do in the School of Fire and Water than the School of Air. And that's kind of like the issue with Air, is that there's two schools that are just straight up better, and trying to make the 100k shooting be more effective, you lose so much tempo that it's really not worth it. It's kind of what I'm getting at. Another shooting thing on here, let's talk about the Kiss Farewell, the 30-point gun. So the character gains Barrage 3, 18 inches and Deadly Shot. If you already have a Barrage rule, you gain Barrage plus 3 and Deadly Shot. This is best to put on the Chapter Mage, because she is the best shooting character. She's Volley 3, she's Barrage 4, and Range 18 already. So giving her Deadly Shot and putting her to Barrage 7, really good, especially at Volley 3. She then can take the Mastery... Where is it? Oh, she cannot take Marksman. Oh, look at her. Too bad, lady. If you throw this on Imperial Officer, you can take combat with Marksman. The character adds +2 to its Barrage special rule. This is bugged in the Army Builder, where it says you become Barrage 3 range 20. It does not. In the PDF, overrides this, and it still hasn't been updated, so you just get +2 Barrage. So the Imperial Officer, he can get to like Barrage 5 Deadly Shot. Chapter Mage, because you can't take combat masteries, you're not getting marksmanship, and you're just going to be Barrage 7 Deadly Shot. If you got 30 points, it's not bad, but once again, as we've talked about, that's 5 points away from another unit or another stand of Merc crossbows, and just having more stands of things is more effective. So I don't really look at it too much, just because of how expensive that one gun is. It's kind of rough. All right, let's talk about magic. So we're just going to stay in the Chapter Mage. She has a Warlord Supremacy. This is Protective Glyphs. Enemy spellcaster selecting a friendly regiment as target of their spellcasting action counts as being affected by enemy interference. In addition, when this character stand performs a spellcasting action, if attempting to cast a spell with a range of self, the spell counts as having range 8 instead for this spellcasting action. This supremacy is always considered to be active. It's actually a really good supremacy, because in her spells, her School of Water are all self spells, and making them range 8 is super nice. As well as School of Air, if you really want to go that way. She is a Wizard 6. Pretty good. You can grab the Mastery of Focus to make her reroll 2 fails. You probably want to do this. Magnus is just -1 to scaling. 30 points. I don't really find that worth it. It's better just to grab Focus for 15 and just kind of reroll it all. We'll just go over the artifacts really quick. There's 2 artifacts here. We'll start with Chapter Scroll. The character stand projects enemy interference over a range of 16 rather than the usual 8. I believe this is 10, and they never updated it on Chapter Scroll. I'm pretty sure on the PDF it is 10 inches, just base for everything with interference. And finally, we have Elysium Fragment, the Smite Bomb. So it's a character draw event, and it's only once per battle. Until the end of the round, the regiment the character statue gains Smite. I will come back to this when we talk about the Theus Priest, because he's the one who's going to be using it. I would never really grab Chapter Scroll for artifacts on the Mage. I wouldn't grab Elysium Fragment either. I would at most take just Kiss, because it's just more gun and she has the best shooting option. For Masteries, I for sure would just take Focused. That's really it. And let's go through her spells. So, School of Water, we got Nuala's Tears, Range Self, Attunement 3. For each success, target regiment heals 1 wound in addition to the regiment's reroll failed morale test of 6. This is wrong. Now I gotta go find the PDF. Alright, here we go. Target regiment heals 2 wounds in addition to target regiment heals 1 additional wound per success. It's a much better healing spell than it was before. Because before it was just basically healing 1 wound per success, and now it just straight up heals. You get 2 plus 1 for success. So if you got your 6 dice, you're probably going to be averaging about 4 plus 2 is 6 to 8 wounds. It's 2 stands on a lot of 100K's models. I know a lot of people are parking water mages behind Ashendon, So you're getting a stand of Ashen Dawn back, and healing up Ashen Dawn is the most egregious thing you can do as a 100k player to anyone else. So mad respect to every water mage healing Ashen Dawn at Adepticon. I didn't do it because I was going for horse, but this is the way. Making her the warlord to have that self change to 8, super good. Just do it all the time. Her next spell, Call Fog, range self. It's going to be range 8. Attunement 3 with scaling. When an enemy regiment performs a volley action against this regiment, treats its unmodified barrage value as half, rounded up until the end of the round. I believe this does stack with Obscuring, because it doesn't say it doesn't. So Obscuring would half, and then you could half it again with Call Fog, and be like, here, shoot nothing. What's really mean? This is a great spell when you're just running up the table, and it's like, alright, well, we haven't been shot yet, and I need to move at the table, so I might as well throw Call Fog on, and then just run up, and next turn I'll heal you if anything goes through. That's kind of how that plays out. After a while, all you're doing is casting Nulla's Tears. School of Water. So, School of Water is probably the best school she's got, and if you're going School of Water, I would 100% say you're making her a warlord, because you really want those spells not on the regiment she's in. You want it on the things like Ashen Dawn, Gilded Legion, Household Guard, all those kinds of things. Next, we got the School of Fire. Kindled Courage, range self, 3 scaling. Target regiment adds +1 to resolve and gains the Inspire special roll until the end of the round. Okay. It's really okay. Like, you're probably not going to be casting this a lot. The only time you cast this is if there's nothing for the next spell, what's Fire Dart. So if there's nothing within 14 inches, you basically cast Kindled Courage. Fire Dart, range 14, attunement 3, infects 1 hit per success. These hits have the Armor Piercing 2 special rule. Shoot her gun, shoot Fire Dart. If you're grabbing a School of Fire Mage, this is usually like your third warband. The Mage isn't the Warlord, and you're kind of just like, I want a magic gun. So Fire Dart is pretty good at that. I don't really see anything bad or wrong with it. It's just kind of there. Like, School of Fire is just kind of the pick you grab if you are wanting a mage, you're not making it the Warlord, you want a good range attack out of it. School of Fire is never a bad one to pick. You're probably going to be firing off that Fire Dart 3 to 4 times a game. Nothing wrong with this. School of Earth. Okay, School of Earth. Earth to Mud. Range 16, attunement 3 of scaling. Should the target regiment wish to declare a charge or march action, it may only do as its first action. If it takes a charge or march as its first action, it may not take a second march action that round. Range 16 is actually pretty good at this. It's not like super close like a lot of these abilities have, where if they want to shut down that march charge, they have to be within like 12 or something, or 10. Range 16 is actually pretty acceptable to like catch something, as well as slowing stuff down. At that range, you can just kind of shoot this off. It does have the problem of being scaling, so if it's on a really big regiment, you can just fail due to scaling. However, if you're grabbing a mage or any wizard, just grab focused. Like, you're grabbing focused. I don't see anything bad with it. Stone Spikes, range self. If target regiment is declared as a target of an enemy range or enemy regiment's charge attack, the charging regiment will suffer a -2 to its impact special rule to a minimum of 0. Attunement 3 scale. Yeah, I'm not super, like, I don't really value this. Like, Pike Formation exists, and even then I'm not like, yay, Pike Formation. Like, Earth to Mud is better just because you can hit something 16 inches away and then it just makes one march. So it goes like 5 to 7 inches and then just sits there and you just watch your opponent just kind of cry a little bit. Stops the march charge, stops the double march, stops the triple march if they get double time. And within 16 inches you can do it. Like, Earth to Mud is kind of the big spell, except it's a scaling spell. So you kind of want to do something about dropping the scaling, so maybe you take Magnus, but like, even Focus, I would still take Focus just because you can reroll 2 your fails. And on 6 dice, like, I've had plenty of times where I've just failed to cast spells because I've rolled 5 fails, and it's like, god damn it. So yeah, School of Earth, one of these spells isn't really worth it. Earth to Mud's probably the spell you're going to be casting all the time. but it is still tough because of that scaling. Yeah, not the greatest. Then we got School of Air. I've kind of gone over School of Air. Like, you kind of take it if you're shooting. The problems is that you want to put these spells on stuff that are not Merc crossbows. You kind of want to put it on longbows as their premium target. Maybe even like Hunter Cadre. It's a lot of eggs in one basket problem, though. And you're putting a lot of points into this thing that isn't really getting a whole lot out of it. And so, yeah, I don't really value School of Shooting that high either. Like, I'd really say, like, water, fire, earth, and air are just down there. Like, I don't really look at these two that much, just because School of Air is very focused on shooting that is not the greatest. Like, if School of Air was in other factions, like, you had access to something that could, when it was, like, higher barrage base, like, something that's barrage 4 or 5, okay, now we're talking about, like, really pumping it. It's just, like, even though you're buffing these things, it just isn't enough to justify it. And then School of Earth is, like, there's only really one good spell there. And, like, it's a delay spell, but eventually they are going to get to you. I don't know, you just have better options. Like, fire and water are kind of the two go-tos. Alright, let's talk about her personal spells. These are the two she just gets all the time. And I'm really happy that Parabellum did this, because previously her schools were so limited. Like, they're so hyper-specific that they really limited what you could do. And you had to, like, really build into it to get the most out of it. While now, she has two spells that are just going to help you every single time. So, Anthropic Shield. Enemy spellcaster counts as having rolled 2 less successes on target regiment till the end of the round. Okay, that's not bad. Attunement 4, range 12. This is really good against any spellcasters trying to buff you or is a targeted attack spell. So looking at you, Dwag Wizards. So that would be like Pyroclast and Firebolt. This actually ties really well if she's the Warlord, casts Entropic Field on the Hunter Cadre, runs the Hunter Cadre within 10 of Dwag Wizard. Dwag Wizard is trying to cast like Pyroclast onto them. They now are 1 less for attunement, so instead of rolling like 3s, they're looking for 2s. They already failed twice. They fail, let's say, 3 more times. Null Mage kicks in, blows up the Wizard. So there is a combo there, and it's really funny. It is a lot of points, but the problem with Hunter Cadre and the Null Mage is that getting your Null Mage within that range 10 is very tough to watch Wizards explode. Because there's, the rest of your opponent's army is in the way. And by that time, they usually have a chance to just, like, blow out the Hunter Cadre and kill them with something that doesn't involve the Wizard, or, just shoot them full of guns until they're dead. When it does happen, it's super funny just watching a Wizard randomly explode. So I do like Entropic Shield. Pretty good, just like, well, there's nothing else to do. Might as well throw a Entropic Shield on stuff if there's an enemy Wizard. The big one, though, for her own personal spells is Minor Elemental Missile. This is just your magic missile. Range 12, no attunement. Target enemy regiment suffers 3 hits. The spell is automatically cast. So they take 3 hits. They make their saves. They take their resolve. This is super great for just plinking off something that's still alive. This is just super great if there's nothing else to do. This allows the chapter mage to do something every turn. So if she's in School of Water as a water mage, she can heal, she can reduce range shots, she has her own little attack spell, and she has an anti-magic spell. At that point, she can do everything. Not everything. She can do something every turn, is what I would want to properly say. What really rounds her off kind of nicely. And this kind of like really helps Water School as well as Earth and Air to be more viable with her 2 personal spells. Because before it was like, well, if you're not going to make her a Warlord, there's no reason to go into Water, so you might as well just go with Fire. If you are going to make her the Warlord, you might as well put her into Water, because healing Ashen Dawn, Gilded Legion, Household Guard is just so good. Overall, pretty good mage. I do like her. She's just sometimes tough to fit in because she has to contend with the Theist Priest. Also, her Warband's not bad. Like, she has Men-at-Arms and Merc crossbows, so she likes to sit in either one, and I do like that. Thieves Priest, let's talk about this guy. So, for 100 points, you get March 5, Volley 1, Clash 2, 4 attacks, 4 wounds, Resolve 2, Defense 2. He's got Cleave 1 on his Holy Bread Cutter. He's Fearless, he's Devout, and he's a Priest 6. His Supremacy ability is Spirit Shrines. Once per battle, spellcasting actions performed by the character stand with the Priest X special rule targeting the regiment with this warlord is currently attached to. Also affects all friendly regiments with Devout special rule on the battlefield. Should the character stand cast Divine Sanction, all friendly regiments with the Devout special rule benefit from the effects but do not perform a duel. This is probably the weakest Supremacy ability in 100k. I believe Cassandra and I went over what to do with this and how it kind of works and why it's kind of bad in our Supremacy episode. I'm just going to refer to that one if you want to know really all my thoughts on it. I'm not going to go super deep in this, but basically it is so much setup to get off. It's a huge point investment to get Devout on a ton of things, and you're putting Devout not on kind of everything you want. Like, it's on a lot of men-at-arms, militia, and one thing that the character takes an heirloom for. So it doesn't spread out very well, and it's kind of rough in that aspects. Let's go on with the spells. He's got Holy Fire, range 10, attunement 3, infects 2 hits per success on target enemy regiment. This is his flamethrower, his Holy Flamethrower of Death. This thing's really mean just because of the sheer amount of hits. Attunement 3 isn't too bad, especially if you focus rerolling. The really only downside for this thing is range 10. I would like it to be a little longer because you're going to be like marching up and then shooting with it to catch anybody. And if your regiment's fighting their regiment, it's just better to cast the Bless spell when we get to it. Saint's Favor, range 10, attunement 3 scaling. Target regiment adds +1 to either its defense or evasion to end a round. That's really good. Like it. You can slap that on some Gilded Legion, Household Guard. You can throw it on an Ashen Dawn. Because fuck you, that's why. This is just a really fun one to throw onto stuff as you are kind of like drawing out the turn. Like, oh, you're waiting for your opponent to do stuff. Oh, I'm going to activate the Priest. I'm going to throw the Priest Saint Favor on some Household Guard who are going to run up the table later. That pushes them to defense 4. Oh, I'm going to throw it on the Gilded Legion. Then the Gilded Legion and go. Now they're going to activate Bastion. So now they're defense 5. Like, this is a really nice one to do, just throw on people. Heavenly Blessing. Target infantry regiment gains blessed until end of round. Range 10, attunement 3 scaling. Also super good. Bless the attack, bless the damage. We'll talk about the Smite Bomb once we get through all this, because this matters. Fervor, range 12, attunement 3 with scaling. Target friendly regiment loses its broken status. As it had used the rally action, the target regiment does not count as having been activated as a result of the spell. You're probably not really casting Fervor all that much. I guess you could throw it on something that is broken. Like, it's there, but it's not very good. You're not going to be casting this very much. It's better just to have the regiment rally itself and like argue within 12 when something gets broken, but still alive. It's kind of tough, and also like you have better options. Holy Fire, Saint's Favor, and Heavenly Blessing are already better options to just cast. Then we got Divine Sanction. The character stand attached to this regiment gains the Cleave +1, Deadly Blades, and Quicksilver Strike special rolls and end of round. In addition, the character stand can immediately perform an out-of-sequence-free action duel. So, I'm going to talk about this a little bit. Divine Sanction affects everyone who's devout when you activate the Spirit Shrine Supremacy ability. So that will give Cleave 1 and Deadly Blades to all the regiments who are devout. You can make Steel Legion devout through the Mantle of St. Nicholas on the character. This will give Steel Legion Cleave 3 with Deadly Blades, so it basically makes them effectively Cleave 4. You're going to fuck up a ton of people with this. It's one of these things that is very shown off and like foretold, because you're going to declare your supremacy. You're going to have Divine Sanctions be cast by the Warlord Priest. Then you're going to have Bless cast on the Warlord Priest from another priest. So now everyone has effectively Cleave +2 and Blessed on everyone who's devout. It's pretty funny for an entire turn where you're just blowing up stuff. The only problem is that 100k does not have the durability to kind of like stick in and take hits while this is going on for all the setup to then just explode outward. And if you're not already in, your opponent starts seeing this and starts just like marching backwards to just stay out of charge range. Because if you don't get in and use it this turn, you are just wasting it. So that's my big issue with Spirit Shrines, is that it's very much like you see it coming and there's plenty of counterplay you can do to reduce it. So that's why I don't really like value Spirit Shrines very much or Divine Sanction. For heirlooms, or not heirlooms, yeah, we already talked about that. We'll talk about Hopes and Prayer. The first time the character stand is reduced to 0 wounds, it'd be removed as a casualty. Do not remove the character. At the end of the action, you heal the character for 1. Deus Priest only. It's 20 points. You're probably not grabbing that. It's kind of one of those, how do I say this? Kind of those flavor rules. Nothing too crazy, but it's also like, yeah, whatever. For Arcane, the Priest also has access to Glimmer of Faith. It's 30 points. Character stand may target friendly regiments with the Devout special rule with the spell regardless of range or line of sight. Spells that range itself do not benefit from this mastery, so this is how you get your Bless spell off on the Warlord Priest while your other priest is across the battlefield for that Spirit Shrine Supremacy turn. It's fun. I would only grab this if I'm running Double Priest and running Spirit Shrines, basically. But besides that, it's not super crazy. Things I like about this Deus Priest. Holy Fire, Saint's Favor, Heavenly Blessing. All 3 really good spells. He is your practitioner for the Smite Bomb. Let's talk about the Smite Bomb. So you're probably going to go into Relentless Drills. You're going to grab a unit of Militia. You're going to give it like 9 stands. You're going to go, 8 to 9. Give it a Standard Bearer. You're going to give it a Servite. Relentless Drills gives you support 3 on all this. Servite gives you +1 March and Resolve. So you're going up to Resolve 3. You're going up to March 6. The Servite also affects the 3 priest, so he's March 6. He sits on there. He grabs himself. We'll make him focus because that is the way to go. Where are you? Legion Fragment. Boom. So this is Militia at 9 stands is 295 with the Servite with the banner. Plus 135 is 430 for points for the Smite Bomb. You can probably drop this down to 8 stands if you want to save 30 points. It's 30 points, who cares? But almost a quarter of your list is into the Smite Bomb. This is how it's kind of going to go. You're going to activate the Priest. And because of the Entourage rule, you're going to say, I'm going to Smite Bomb. You're just going to say it. They know what that means. You're going to activate the Elysian Fragment. You're then going to cast Heavenly Blessing on your Militia. It's 3 with scaling. You are devout, though. So you're going to need 2 less die, or do you count as 1 automatically success? 1 failed success dice is converted, or 1 failed counts as success. So that's pretty good. So you are going to roll your 6 dice. 1's going to be a success. You're going to re-roll 2 fails. At 9 stands, I believe there's a chart for this. I had it down somewhere. Okay. At 9 stands, you're going to need 2 additional successes. So that means you're going to need 4 in total. Re-rolling 2, +1 automatically. Pretty good chance you're going to get Heavenly Blessing off. What's going to give the regiment Blessed. So the Militia are 4 attacks. You're probably going to be running this thing like 3 wide, and then they're going to get 3 support for everyone behind them. It's not bad. They're going to be Clash 2 Inspiring to 3 with Bless. They're going to reroll all the 4, 5s, and 6s. You're not going to use it defensively because they are defense 1 with a shield, so they're just ready to die. And then every hit, it's just a smite, and you're just going to blow something up. You kind of want to focus this in on like something that's really valuable. Like you want to put into like, I don't know, like a big monster, like a Tauntor, or like a Hellbringer Drake, or a big unit of like Flame Berserkers, and you just want to just watch something explode. And then you can just kind of cast Bless on them every turn, and at that point you're just like, you just keep blessing the regiment to just keep it going and just killing stuff and being annoying. This thing is not going to live. It's very susceptible to damage, and especially if you lose half of the stands before it can Smite Bomb, it's not getting the same amount of effectiveness out of it as it would before, and kind of not enough to like hit a critical mass to just blow things up. That's kind of my issues with the Smite Bomb, as well as getting into a good target. I played 3 games of Hedgehog, and I never got the Smite Bomb off once, and it was mostly because there was no good targets that the Militia were ever going to go into that they couldn't just kill normally with their Clash. Because Smite Bomb you want to hold for something that's like, I don't know, hardened to like Dragon Slayers, like a Tauntor, like the Mahat or like a big regiment of, I don't know, let's say like Gilded Legion or something. Like, you want it on those big targets. The hard part is your opponent knows it's coming, and the easiest way to deal with it is just to feed the militia trash, because the militia are trash, and your trash will slowly eat through the trash of the militia, if that makes any sense. Basically, these things have no defensive stats, and if you just kind of plink away at them, they'll die. I think I've kind of covered shooting and magic. Next one of these is just going to be about the general infantry of 100k. I'm going to talk about, Household Guard, Gilded Legion, Steel Legion, all that kind of stuff. I'm breaking 100k down into its various, sections. So, we did horses, we did magic and guns, and now we're going to talk about infantry. So, it kind of forms the holy trinity of what 100k has going for it, where it's, the crossbow, the spike, and the spear and the holy horse as your holy trinity. And with that, knowledge and understanding of what all these things can do, you can really build a lot of lists and combinations. So, this is the shooting one. I'm going to do infantry. I'm going to get into some combined arms lists. I'm going to do some breakdowns of other lists that either go into skews of just shooting or magic or infantry or horse, or bring them together and different stuff like that as this whole faction breakdown keeps going. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We got a YouTube channel. You can watch battle reports. I'm gonna be moving from 100k to Dweghome. I just gotta build a bunch of Dweghome. It's super fun. It's not Fireforge or some of the worst minis I've built in a while. I don't know one level of what I hate more. Is it building Gilded Legion / Household Guard, or is it building Fireforge? We also, well, you're listening to this on podcast probably, or you're listening to it on the YouTube channel because I put up a funny meme. Bonktable, we also got a Discord. You can join us there if you want to talk about more, find out more of my thoughts on this stuff, or talk about any of the other factions. We got a bunch of guys there. We're really good. A lot of other content creators are on there. We got Hannah, who's Brave Humans with Sticks. Chatting Conquest is there. Competent Conquest is there. Just Roll Runs is there. Josh Around and Aya is there. You can talk to all those guys. They're around. Really great stuff coming out of other content creators as well. So hopefully you'll join us. So thank you very much for listening to my magic gun rant. Hope you have a great day. Bye.